I know. Very tense moments while we wait for this. But hey, let's go into a game from earlier while we wait. I'm sure someone will message me as soon as they're done, and alright, so this game was from our first match against EP. This game didn't get streamed earlier, so now's as good a time as any to stream it, cast it, maybe let you guys see it earlier. This is from, this is game 1 of today. It was played at like 3 hours ago. 2 hours ago, sorry. We weren't playing 3 hours ago. My clock is wrong. I have a BOSs waveguide, and this thing annoys the crap out of me because it sets the clock automatically and there's no way for me to adjust it. And it sets itself wrong. Ever since daylight savings time, it's been off by an hour, and there's just no way to change it. But in any case, we got Team Legion's boss spawning on the left as bottom left as the yellow Protoss, and his opponent from Eternal Plague is going to be Gimix as the green Terran. I know we're already casting replays. It's so soon, but really we don't have any other options because, like I said, Cheetah didn't want to have his match streamed, so basically I'm just going to ask the other Legion managers to let me know as soon as their game is done, and then, if necessary, we'll just abandon this mid-game and go watch the next match. Because the next match, of course, will probably involve a Velo. Alright, so this is a PvT, and it's on one of the NASL maps that I don't know. Let me see if I can find. This is TPW Artifice. And like I said, this is a match from earlier today. This is the very first match of the entire NASL qualifier. Well, not overall, but round 1. Game 1 of round 1. And I won't spoil the results for you, but if you guys have been paying attention to Twitter, I'm sure you know what the eventual outcome was. So now it'll be pretty exciting to see exactly how we got there, see the very beginnings. We see very standard PvT openers here from both Boss and Gimix. He's going for 1 gas geyser. This is generally indicative of getting an early expansion with Marauders, and we see he's going to add on the Tech Lab here. So he's going to be able to get Concussive. He can get a couple of Marauders and some Marines, do just a safe Marauder expand. And at the same time, if Protoss were going to go for like a 1-gate expansion, Terran could go for a good harass and try to pressure him, and if he gets lucky, maybe force the cancel on the Nexus and set himself up to do really well in the late game. Anyway, we see that Boss could be going for a 1-gate. However, he's taking the second gas geyser, and generally when you're going for a 1-gate expand, you don't want to waste money on things that you don't need. So most players will delay this gas geyser until after they've expanded in order to get that Nexus up as quickly as possible. So that suggests to me that he's actually going to be going for a different build. We see him chrono boosting Warp Gate tech, which could mean a 4-gate is going to happen, but he has a second gas geyser, so it's not a 4-gate. So it's going to be something that relies on a gateway timing, apparently, and relies on having 2 gas geysers, so there's going to be a little bit of tech involved. Gimix moving out with a Reaper here, very nice. He's going to be able to do a good bit of scouting with this, but a consequence is he's not getting concussive shells, and well, he's getting 1 Marauder now, but without concussive, he's not really going to be able to put any pressure on an early expansion. Same time, we see he does have a command center going down, so he's going for a 1 racks expand, and then he's adding on 2 barracks afterwards. It's very standard. Get those 3 racks up and be able to make some units after you take your expansion. Same time, we look back in Protoss's base, we see that Boss has added a Stargate and 2 more gateways, so he's going for a 3-gate Stargate, sort of a 1-base play right now. This is, you know, not an all-in or anything cheesy like that, it's just a good expansion. We have seen a lot of Void Ray all-ins, so that is a possibility, but we see that Boss is getting this Phoenix first, so we know he's not going to be going for those Void Rays. And I've seen Boss play a lot, so I actually know his PvT style generally revolves around getting Colossus and Phoenix, which I think work together in a really cool dynamic. I don't see this very often, but I think it's going to become pretty big, because basically what you can do with the Phoenix is Vikings will target Phoenix over Colossus. So if you just A-move your Vikings, they'll attack the Phoenix first, which that lets you get your Colossus into range to engage the bio. and so you can just cut up his ground forces before you really lose any Colossus, because your Vikings are taking damage from the Phoenix, and at the same time, your Vikings are attacking, or sorry, your Phoenix are attacking the Vikings. So the Viking count is getting smaller, of course, and then by the time that you run out of Phoenix, there's only a couple of Vikings left to attack your Colossus. Works pretty well. And in the meantime, of course, you can actually go for a little bit of a harass here. It's not going to be too effective, because EP's Gimix did spot this Stargate. We saw that Reaper run through here earlier, so he knew he needed to get a couple of missile turrets, get up some static defense to be able to defend against this. And he's going to be able to pretty safely take an expansion. At this point, Gimix does have a reasonable advantage, you know. Luxury, or sorry, not Luxury, Boss, I was just casting Luxury. Boss is taking his Nexus down here, but he's behind because Gimix already has his command center morphed into an orbital. He's landed at his natural, and he's calling down some mules. However, we'll see how this plays out in the late game. We see that Boss is adding the robotics bay, so he is going to be going for that Colossus Phoenix mix, because he's still got a couple of Phoenix out here. He's trying to poke in, do a little bit more harassment. Very nice, picks up this this SCV making his factory. That's just kind of annoying. A little bit of a delay there, and continue to move around at the Phoenix. He gets really good scouting information like this. He knows that Gimix just now got his factory and he's just now starting his reactor, which means that Vikings are going to be at least 50 seconds away. Well, for the starport, and then the Viking construction time, of course. So there's going to be a limited number of Vikings, and if he were to chrono boost a couple of Colossus, he could definitely go for a 2 Colossus timing attack. However, he doesn't have enough gateway units to back that up, so that most likely won't be what we're going to see. We're just going to see him mass up more Colossus and wait it out. And in the meantime, he'll know that the Vikings are going to be delayed, and there won't be a huge number of Vikings when he eventually gets his Colossus out. A little bit more harass from these Phoenix. The starport did finish, so he wasn't able to delay the Vikings any further, but hey. So now Boss has got some probes transferred, he's saturating his natural, and at this point, let's pull up the unit stat for Gimix. He actually does have more probes than Gimix has SCVs. Gimix does have mules, so if we look at the income tab, he's actually still ahead on minerals, but it's quite close despite the fact that Boss went for a later expansion, and Gimix went for a faster expansion. So the main difference right now is in the army numbers. Gimix has a lot of bio, and if Boss were to engage in a bad position, he could just get steamrolled by this bio. He's got to be... This is kind of a nervous time for Boss. He's got to wait until he has enough of his own army to be able to defend against this. You know, Medivacs and bio is a very strong combination. So he's going to need to use a lot of force fields to restrict Terran's motion and be able to engage in a way that allows his Colossus to favorably just demolish things. Like Marines, they get melted by double Colossus. Gimix moves in, but sees the Colossus with his little stim Marine there. Looks like he's going to make the smart decision, back out. I think he could have maybe forced this, but it would have been difficult, and with these destructible rocks in the way, he would have had a very narrow choke due to force fields. He could have gotten into a very bad position. So I think it's very smart to just not risk it, back up, wait until he gets some more Vikings so that he can deal with those Colossus, and then, you know, from there, move forward. So let's see here. The Colossus count is continuing to grow. He's just chrono boosting these Colossus the whole time. He does have extended thermal lance on the way. And he's up to 3 Phoenix. I believe he added, no, it's just 3 Phoenix, okay. Just 3 Phoenix. He's going to want more if he's going to try to deal with these Vikings later on, but he's got plenty of time. Here we go, he adds on another Phoenix. Gonna go for it. And, this is kind of interesting. Gimix is adding a second reactored starport. So, the main reason you'll see players do this is so that he can produce 2 Vikings at once, because he knows that Protoss is going Colossus heavy, and so that he can produce some Medivacs. Although, as I say that, he's actually making 4 Vikings at a time. Honestly, I think making this many Vikings is a little bit dangerous. One issue for Terran in TVP is overproducing Vikings. And if you make, say, 20 Vikings, yeah, you're going to be really good against Colossus, but you're going to have 40 food of Vikings. You know, like, what do you do with 40 food worth of Vikings? You pick off some Colossus, and if your opponent's army consists of 8 Colossus and nothing else, then yeah, you win. But if it's a more reasonable number, like 3 or 4 Colossus and then a shit ton of Zealots and Sentries, when you have 40 food worth of Vikings, that's a lot of actual army that you don't have. Kind of sucks, you know? It happens, though. In any case, we see that Gimix is going to be taking his third here. This is a reduced third on this map. We'll come over here where it's a little bit easier to see. Boss is taking his third as well. This is an interesting number. We've got 7 mineral patches instead of 8, which is not the standard number for a reduced expansion. Reduced expansions usually have 4 or 5 patches. And then we have a standard Vespene Geyser. Normally, reduced expansions have a rich Vespene Geyser so that the income rate is a little bit more balanced. I don't have too much experience with this, but a lot of people have this opinion that these reduced expansions, especially this structure, tend to favor Terran, because Terran uses a lot of minerals on Marines. That could be true, but I mean, Protoss uses minerals on Zealots. Charged Zealots are extremely effective, so you're going to see almost every Protoss player get them in the late game. In any case, Boss has decided this is worth it, so he's going to take this expansion instead of the full-size 4th expansion, so it can't be that bad, right, guys? Gimix, again, is slightly ahead on taking this third. He's got a bunch of SCVs. He's already got his orbital ready. Well, never mind. It's pretty even now. I didn't think this would finish that fast. So they're pretty much even in bases, and they're actually pretty close in income. Terran is only slightly ahead, and for having mules, only being 150 minerals per minute ahead is really not that much of an advantage. Boss's army looks great right now. I think this is really the mix he wants to go for. Look, he's got 9 Phoenix and 6 Colossus, right? And to go along with that, he's got a bunch of Zealots and a couple of Sentries. This is a lot of Vikings right here. And normally, they would demolish these Colossus, but look at this. The Colossus haven't taken any damage because the Vikings auto-attack the Phoenix. And sure, he's losing Phoenix, but he's got a lot of them, and he's picking off a lot of these Vikings. And at the same time, he's microing forward. You can see able to pick off a bunch of these retreating bio. He was able to thin out the Marine Marauder numbers quite substantially. And most importantly, he's thinned the Viking count very significantly. He's finally going to run out of Phoenix, but Gimix is down to 2 Vikings. Now, the 2 Vikings just doesn't destroy Colossus. A couple more Phoenix show up, but at this point, the ground army has just been decimated. All of the Colossus are left standing. This one took a bit of damage because it got engaged by some Marines and Marauders, of course. But he's going to be able to force Gimix to retreat from his third. He's probably not going to lose this orbital, but this is very good. He's taken a base lead. He's done a significant amount of damage. He's got 50 supply lead. And he was able, behind this, he can take his 4th pretty safely. And he didn't lose really very many tech units. It was a very cost-effective trade. For Boss, and it's in a great position moving forward in the game. So now Gimix, he's in a rough spot. He doesn't have very many Vikings anymore. There's still Phoenix out on the field, and his bio ball has been cut down in size rather dramatically. So his only hope, it would be nice to see him do some drops, but he really can't with Boss's army sitting outside his base, because if he were to try to drop, Boss would just go kill him, since he'd have to invest a sizable percentage of his army into a drop. You need to be out of medevacs and stuff. Boss retreats. I'm not really sure why. I think he was in a pretty good position there. He could have just gone for the kill, but one thing that we see pretty common with the Koreans from Team Legion is they're very patient with their styles, and so he gets a very significant advantage, and then his response is take another base, continue macroing, and get himself into a good position to just have a solid kill in the future. You know, he doesn't need to win the game right now because he knows he's got a big advantage, and if he macros well, he's not going to throw that advantage away. This is a scary number of Colossus. He's up to 7 Colossus. He's got +2 attack on the way, Zealot leg speed, and at the same time, Terran actually getting that +3 attack for his Marines and Marauders. That's a pretty big upgrade. Marines doing 8 damage with Stim, doubling it to 16 is a lot, but when you get +3, it gets to 18, maybe 20, I'm not entirely sure, but I think it gets to 18. That's a lot of DPS, man. per 1 volley, Marines attack more than once a second. You don't really want to go up against that without Guardian Shield and lots of armor upgrades. Boss is adding +1 armor. He's got a second forge on the way somewhere. And look at this, he's added a fleet beacon. This is one of the coolest things about Boss's PvT style. Not very many people get motherships in PvT, but Boss does. And his mothership is fantastic. Like Terran's trying to use all their energy on mules, which is excellent. So they don't have very much energy left over to deal with cloak units with scans, and not very many Terran players get Ravens. So he, he's going to be in a tough situation economically to try to deal with an attack underneath a cloaked mothership. Anyway, guys, so quick update on the real match. I know if you're watching a VOD of this later, you'll be like, well, what real match? Anyway, so this was casted at the same time that Cheetah was playing a real game against VVV. I can't remember his name. Oh my god, he got 2 wins a moment ago. It starts with a G. Someone will remind me. But Cheetah won his game. So the reason we're casting these is because Cheetah did not want any streams at all. So I'm going to go ahead and finish casting this game because presumably he's not going to want us to stream his second game if he didn't want us to stream the first one. Anyway, and sort of back to the events at hand, this is a lot more important. We see that Boss has his Phoenix count back up again. He's got 9 Phoenixes, and he's got 8 Colossus, which is just insane. It's insane how much damage 8 Colossus can do. He's got +3 attack and +3 armor on the way, along with Protoss air weapons level 2. And that's going to increase his Phoenix damage a lot more. You know, they already do 6 damage, they have 2 attacks, so really they do 12 damage at a time. His Vikings only have 125 hit points, so Mass Phoenix can definitely clean up a good number of Vikings. Boss taking another base up here. Very good decision. Why won't this go away? Alright, Boss taking another base, so he's up on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bases against a Terran who has just taken his 4th base, and he had his 3rd denied for a little bit, so Boss is going to be in a good position. Looks like he's moving out a little bit. He's been maxed for a while, but he's waiting for that mothership. Here it is. He's going to move forward, and when he's got his army cloaked, this is going to be pretty awesome. There's no detection over here. There's no missile turrets over here. Nothing. It's going to come down to scans. Looks like Gimix does have a lot of energy stocked up. That's pretty good. Oh wow, he does snipe a Colossus. But here comes the engagement. The Phoenix going up against these Vikings, taking all the damage, while the Colossus just ripped through everything on the ground. +3 attack is about to finish. We'll see if this battle lasts long enough. Yeah, he's gonna get to lose it. Oh, it's 8 seconds out, but there's the Terran army slowly, not so slowly really, it's just melting quite quickly at this point. There we go, +3 attack finishes, more scans going down, and these Colossus just shred everything on the ground. So there's the GG from Gimix. And Boss, of course, took the game, won it since he got the all-kill. You guys probably already knew he was going to win, but I thought we'd go through that game anyway, because it was a pretty cool game to see earlier. Alright.